There is a mistake that almost everyone makes. And the worst part is that it feels right. It looks like effort. It looks like dedication. It looks like hard work. But deep down, it's exactly what is keeping you in the same place. You work a lot, but earn little. And you don't understand why. Because in your mind, the logic is simple. If I work more, I should earn more. But the world doesn't work like that. And that's where the mistake is. You were conditioned to believe that effort creates results. But in reality, effort without direction doesn't create growth. It creates exhaustion. Now think about this honestly. How many hours have you worked without it changing your reality? How many days have you ended exhausted, but without feeling like you truly moved forward? That's the pattern. A lot of movement, little progress. And this happens because you are focusing on the wrong thing. You are focusing on quantity when you should be focusing on value. There is a huge difference between the two. Working a lot is spending time and energy. Creating value is solving problems that matter. And money always follows value, never effort. Now make this clear in your mind. The world does not pay you for how hard you work. The world pays you for what you solve. And the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the reward. But most people never reach that level because they are too busy doing tasks that don't change anything. Repetitive tasks, operational tasks, tasks that anyone could do. And the more replaceable you are, the less you earn. Simple as that. Now here's a truth that might be uncomfortable. You are not underpaid because you don't work hard. You are underpaid because you are solving small problems. And small problems pay little. Now think about this. If you keep doing exactly what you do today, how much will you earn in a year? Probably the same. Maybe a little more. But nothing that truly changes your life. And that's not coincidence. It's consequence. Because you are repeating the same pattern. Now let me show you the shift. Those who build wealth don't work more. They work better. And working better means one thing. Focusing on what actually creates value. Not what just takes up your time. Now I want you to think about something. Within what you do today, what actually generates results? And what is just occupation? Because there is a brutal difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy drains you. Being productive builds. And most people live busy, answering things, handling details, putting out fires, but never building something that scales. And here's another important point. If your effort depends on your time, your growth has a limit because you only have 24 hours. Now compare that to someone who builds something scalable, someone who creates something once and keeps getting paid from it multiple times. That changes everything because you stop trading time for money and start multiplying value. Now understand this once and for all. If you keep selling your time, you will always have a ceiling. But if you learn to generate value, you expand. And this is the game that almost no one learns. Because from early on, you were taught to work hard, but not to think strategically. Now let me confront you directly. You don't need to work more. You need to stop wasting energy. Stop doing things that don't move you forward. Stop confusing effort with progress. And start asking, does what I'm doing actually create value? If the answer is no, you are just staying busy. And being busy does not build wealth. Now here's a deeper point. Working a lot can give you a sense of control. You feel like you're doing your part. But in reality, you might just be avoiding thinking. Because thinking requires pause. It requires analysis. It requires stepping out of autopilot. And most people prefer to stay busy, then face the fact that they are going in the wrong direction. Now imagine this. You keep working the same way for the next 5 years. What changes? Probably nothing significant. And that should bother you, because it shows that the problem is not effort. It's the quality of your decisions. Now remember this. Effort multiplies what you are already doing. If you are doing the wrong thing, more effort only makes it worse. Now think about this clearly. You don't need to go faster. You need to correct your direction. Because the right direction with consistency beats speed without strategy. Now let me simplify everything for you. If you want to earn more, stop focusing on working more. Start focusing on creating more value. Learn something the market pays for. Solve bigger problems. Become less replaceable. Build something that doesn't depend only on your time. And most importantly, stop repeating the same pattern expecting different results. Because that is the mistake that keeps people working a lot and earning little. And the question is, will you keep trading time for money? Or will you start building real value? And this is where almost everyone gets stuck. Because when you start to understand this, you realize it's not just about working. It's about how you think about work. And that changes everything. Because there are two types of people. Those who execute tasks and those who solve problems. Those who execute tasks wait for instructions, follow processes, do what they are told. And that has value. But it's limited value. Because anyone can learn to do the same thing. Now those who solve problems, think, analyze, create solutions, and the more complex the problem, the fewer people can solve it. And that's exactly where the money is. Now let me show you an even more subtle mistake. You think you need to work more hours, when in reality, you need to work on better things. There is a huge difference between doing more and doing better. Doing more keeps you busy. Doing better makes you grow. But doing better requires something most people are not willing to do. Learn. And not just anything. Learn something that increases your value in the market. Because knowledge that doesn't generate value is just information. And information alone does not change your life. Now pay attention to this. You are paid for the impact you create, not for the effort you make. If what you do does not impact anyone in a meaningful way, the return will be small. But if what you do solves something important, the return grows. And that completely changes the game, because it takes the focus off you and puts it on what you deliver. Now think with me. Who earns more? Someone who works 12 hours organizing tasks, or someone who solves a problem that generates millions? The answer is obvious. But most people keep living like the first, because it's easier. It doesn't require change. It doesn't require leaving the comfort zone. It doesn't require facing the fear of trying something new. And that is the real barrier. It's not a lack of opportunity. It's resistance to change. Now let me show you something else important. There is a level of work that keeps you alive. And there is a level of work that makes you grow. The first pays the bills. The second builds your future. And the problem is that many people spend their entire lives in the first, because they never stop to build the second. They are always too busy surviving. Now imagine this. What if you started dedicating part of your time, not to working, but to evolving, learning a new skill, developing something that can scale, creating something that generates value without depending entirely on you? Over time, this completely changes your reality. But this requires vision. It requires thinking long-term. And most people are stuck in the short term, in the immediate, in the urgent, in the now. And those who live only in the now never build the future. Now remember this very clearly. If you don't set aside time to grow, you will spend your entire life working just to survive. And that is not a lack of ability. It's a lack of strategy. Now here comes a truth that might be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You are not paid for how much you work. You are paid for how hard you are to replace. And that changes everything. Because it forces you to move beyond the basics. It forces you to develop something that sets you apart. It forces you to stop being just another person. Now think about this. If today someone could do exactly what you do, with little difficulty, your value is low. But if you develop something that few people can do, your value increases. And high value generates high returns. Simple as that. Now let me give you clear direction. If you want to get out of this cycle of working a lot and earning little, you need to do three things. First, stop confusing effort with progress. Second, start focusing on creating real value. Third, invest in yourself strategically, not emotionally. Strategically. Learn with intention. Practice with direction. Apply with consistency. And this takes time, but it works. Now let me tell you something important. You don't need to change everything at once, but you do need to start. Because as long as you keep doing exactly what you've always done, you will keep getting exactly the same results. And that's not bad luck. That's math. Now imagine a year from now. You could be in the same routine, tired, busy, with no growth. Or you could be at another level, thinking differently, acting differently, earning differently. And the difference between these two scenarios starts today, in small decisions, in what you choose to learn, in what you choose to do, in what you choose to stop doing. Now here comes the final point. The mistake is not working hard. The mistake is working hard on the wrong things. And until you fix that, nothing changes. But the moment you shift your focus, everything starts to align. Because now your effort works in your favor, not against you. And the question is, will you keep yourself busy? Or will you finally start building real value? And if you've made it this far, you've already realized that the problem was never a lack of effort. The problem was direction. But there is something even deeper that needs to be understood. Because even knowing this, many people keep doing the same thing. And do you know why? Because changing the way you work requires changing the way you think. And that is uncomfortable. Because thinking differently means admitting that maybe you've been doing everything wrong for a long time. And very few people have the courage to face that. So they continue working a lot, trying hard, staying busy, but without evolving. Now let me show you what really changes the game. You need to leave execution mode and enter strategy mode. Execution without strategy keeps you busy. Strategy with execution makes you grow. But strategy requires pause. It requires reflection. It requires asking questions that most people avoid. What is actually moving me forward? What is keeping me busy without results? If I continue like this, where will I be in 2 years? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are the ones that wake you up. Now pay attention to this. If you don't define direction, any effort will do. And when any effort will do, you get lost because you start doing everything. And when you do everything, you build nothing with depth. Now think about this. How many times have you started something and abandoned it? How many times have you changed direction, thinking the problem was the path, when in reality it was how you were walking it? This pattern of constantly switching also keeps you in the same place, because you never stay long enough in something to see results. Now combine this with everything you've seen so far. You work a lot, but not on the right things. You change direction before the necessary time, and you keep yourself busy to avoid facing what really needs to be done. That combination is what keeps you stuck. Now here is the final shift in mindset. You don't need to do more. You need to do better for longer. That combination changes everything. Better plus consistent, not more plus random. Now let me give you a simple example. A person who focuses on the right thing and does it every day, even if it's a little, will grow. Another person who does many things without focus, without consistency, will get tired and stay in the same place. Now answer honestly. Which one are you? Because that answer defines your results. Now here comes another essential point. You need to learn to say no. No to distractions. No to tasks that don't add value. No to things that only take up your time. Because every time you say yes to something irrelevant, you are saying no to what really matters. and that accumulates. Now think about this. If you cleaned up your routine and kept only what truly generates results, what would your life look like? Lighter, more focused, more productive. But that requires decision. It requires cutting things out. And cutting hurts because you need to let go of things that seem important but are not essential. Now remember this. Focus is not about doing more things. It's about doing less, with more intention. And when you do that, your results change, because now you are directing your energy toward what truly matters. Now let me take you to the final level of this. It's not enough to work the right way. You need to think like someone who builds, because those who build don't live putting out fires. They live creating structure. They don't live reacting. They live planning. They don't live busy. They live strategic. And that completely changes how you use your time. Now imagine your life like this. You know exactly what to focus on. You eliminate what doesn't add value. You work with intention. You evolve constantly. What happens? Results, growth, and most importantly, control. Because now you're no longer lost. You are directed. And that is what separates those who stay in the cycle from those who break out of it. Now pay attention to this to finish. You don't need more effort. You need more clarity, because clarity directs, and direction with consistency creates inevitable results. So from now on, every time you feel tired, don't ask, how can I work less? Ask, am I working on the right thing? Because that answer can completely change your life. And in the end, what separates those who work a lot and earn little from those who build something great is not how much they do. It's where they choose to put their energy. And the final question is, will you keep spending your energy, or will you start investing it strategically? And now we've reached the point where there are no more excuses, because you already understand. It's not about working more. It's not about trying harder. It's not about staying busier. It's about working with direction. And from here on, either you apply this, or everything stays the same. Simple as that. Now let me show you the final mistake, the one that keeps people stuck for years. They understand all of this. They relate to it, but they change nothing. Why? Because they keep waiting for the perfect moment to start doing things differently. And that is already the same pattern as before. Do you see it? You learn. You get motivated. But you delay the application. And you go back to the cycle. Now, pay very close attention to this. If you leave here and keep doing the same things, you've already decided to stay in the same place, even if you say you want to change. Because in the end, it's not what you want. It's what you do. Now let me give you something extremely practical. Starting today, you need to change one thing, your action filter. Before doing anything, ask yourself, does this actually create value? If it doesn't, stop, cut it, eliminate it. Because every minute you spend on what doesn't create value is a minute you're not investing in what could change your life. Now imagine the impact of this over days, weeks, months. Your routine changes. Your focus changes. Your results change. And most importantly, you stop living on autopilot. Now here comes another decisive point. You need to take control of your time, because those who don't control their time end up executing what others define. And that keeps you busy, but it doesn't make you grow. So start reversing that. Instead of reacting to what shows up, start your day with intention, defining what today actually moves my life forward, and do that first, before anything else. No distractions, no interruptions, no negotiation, because that is what builds real results. Now understand this once and for all. You don't need more hours in your day. You need to use better the hours you already have. And that is a choice. Daily, consistent. Now here is the closing. If you continue the way you are, a year from now, nothing meaningful changes. maybe you'll be more tired, more busy, but not further ahead. Now, if you apply this, even in a simple way, even starting small, but with consistency, it is impossible to stay in the same place. Impossible. Because direction plus consistency always creates growth. Always. So hold on to this as a final decision. You will no longer work a lot just to stay in the same place. You will work the right way to build something bigger. And every time doubt comes, fatigue, or the urge to go back to autopilot, remember this. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters. And doing that every single day. Because in the end, what separates those who stay busy from those who build wealth is simple. One spends energy, the other invests energy. And now, the choice is in your hands. Will you keep spending? Or will you finally start investing for real?